A very warm welcome to everybody. It's great to see so many of you online. Thank you very much for making time to participate in this online consultation today. Firstly, before we get started, allow me to point out that simultaneous interpretation from English to both Spanish and French is available for this meeting. And you can access the different language channels in the Zoom navigation bar at the bottom of your screen. It's right next to the share screen button. And by clicking on interpretation, you can select your preferred language. Bienvenue à cette réunion Zoom. Je voudrais juste vous informer que l'interprétation simultanée anglais-français est disponible pour cette réunion. S'il vous plaît, cliquez sur Interprétation, ci-dessus dans la barre de navigation Zoom et sélectionnez la langue de votre choix. Bienvenidos a todas y a todos. Hay interpretación simultánea inglés-español disponible para esta sesión. Por favor, haga clic en Interpretación en la barra de navegación de Zoom y seleccione su idioma de preferencia. The purpose of this meeting today and for connecting with our members is to answer your questions and to collect your feedback and comments regarding the proposal for a revised ISC membership due structure. And we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to explain a bit of the background of the document and to introduce to you the proposal. And then we'll open up the floor for questions and for your comments. I'm just going to rush through a couple of housekeeping points. The meeting is being recorded, and we will share the recording together with the presentation on the membership section of our website after the meeting. Subtitles are available for this meeting, and to enable subtitles, you can click on the live transcript function in the Zoom navigation bar at the bottom of your screen, and then click either Show Subtitle or View Full Transcript. Please feel free to ask questions or to provide comments in French and in Spanish, if that's your preferred language. Do give us a few seconds to be able to switch over to the respective language channels so we can hear the interpretation. As you'll notice, we'll be speaking slowly with some longer pauses in between in order to allow for our interpreters to catch up with the interpretation. So with that, I think I'll hand over to my dear colleague Charles, the ISC Operations Director. Charles, you've been involved in drafting and shaping the proposal for a revised due structure, and we're really looking forward to hearing more about the development and the details of this document. Over to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Anne, and thank you all for being here and taking time to listen to our proposal, and please indeed ask questions where necessary. We'll have a time for that at the end, but if you really can't hold, you're of course always able to interfere and ask a question. So let me give you a bit of background about our proposal for a revised due structure. If we look at the next slide, please, Zhenya. So as you all know, the ISC, the International Science Council, was formed due to the merger of the International Social Science Council and the International Council for Science in 2018. Because this merger entailed a lot of different things and a lot of things needed to be organized, of course, the dues was one of the things that also need to be taken care of. But in preparation, it became relatively quickly, it became clear that it was going to be difficult to come up with a full new dues structure for the new organization. So at that time, and at the beginning of at the founding General Assembly in 2018 in Paris, it was decided to keep the dues structures the same for the members of each of the former organizations. So the members of the old members of ISSC paid the dues that they paid under ISSC with an increase of 2% each year, and the members of ICSU paid the same as they paid under ICSU, and also with the same increase. But it was also clear that there was a need for one system. So there was a clear instruction given at that time to the governing board of the new organization, ISC, to come up with a new system, a new or revised dues structure. To do this, the governing board appointed a dues committee, an ad hoc dues committee, who have gone about this task for the last 2 years. Next slide, please. And they worked from the clear guidelines they got, which was that a single dues structure need to be achieved. So there should be no difference between the former members of the one organization or the other. All members should pay in line with the same dues structure. Also important and also indicated in the beginning was the issue of affordable fees for low and middle income countries, which was necessary. And of course, when the dues committee came together to discuss this issue, they also took as a starting point that they needed to ensure the income for ISC. The membership income comprises around 50% of the income of the ISC. In the beginning, the dues committee really wanted to see how this could be increased, but during the last 2 years, and of course, especially during the last 1.5 years, because of the COVID pandemic, it was clear that this had effect also on the members. So they gradually brought this down to a level that could be acceptable for all members. The dues committee also decided to use as a basis the old ISC system, which was a band system, which I'll explain in more detail a bit later, and use that as a basis and revise that to come up with the new proposed revised structure under ISC. Next slide, please. I will begin with the category 1 members. So as of the beginning of this year, at the February electronic GA, ISC now has category 1 members, category 2 members, and category 3 members. The category 1 members are the former, or still are, mainly the associations and unions. And under the ISC dues structure, they paid based on their own income from their own members. So we looked at the income from members for those organizations, and then they were placed in one of the 4 bands, A, B, C, or D. And in which band they were placed, they would pay the equivalent dues that was required, of which the dues levels have been described here. Can I move to the next slide, please? Now, and it's good to point out that ISSC had a comparable system. They also had different levels for different associations, so it was very comparable. But now it's been all brought together in one band system for the category 1 members. And as you can see here, there's been a small nuance has been brought because the dues committee thought it would make sense to add another band, or actually split up the old band C in 2 different bands, because that was fairer towards the different unions and associations within that band. So as you can see here now, there are 5 bands. This is the proposal, of course, so it's up to you if you want to agree to this at the General Assembly in October 2021. But there are 5 bands. The increase from 2021 to 2022 is around 2%, but it must be said that the dues committee proposes to keep the level of dues for 2022 the same in 2023 and 2024. And of course, in 2024, there will be another General Assembly, and then the new dues for the upcoming period will be decided based on this system if you vote to keep the system as proposed. And you can see here, so the old C level dues was 4,055, and that's been split up in the new C, which is 4,136 and 3,231. So that is the proposed dues for the different category 1 members. Can we please move to the next slide, Zhenya? If we look at the old system under ISC for the what we now call category 2 members, so the national members, which used to be called national members or member organizations. There were 10 bands. They were based on what percentage the country where the member was from contributes to the global GDP. So what percentage of GDP, what the amount of GDP of that country, how does it compare to the global GDP? With the larger countries, with the larger GDP being in band 10, and then moving down all the way to band 1. This is the existing system. Can we please move to the next slide? Because and there you see that there have been some slight adjustments because the Jews Committee found that the bands compared to each other were not properly matched, and they made a calculation where it was more in line with the different bands. And so they have made those proposed changes, as you can see here. I think that's one part of the category 2 members, but of course a very important part for the category 2 members, and could we please go to the next slide, is that as a result of the, Zhenya, could we go to the next slide? As a result of the fact that through the merger, it was now possible to have more than one member from a certain country or region, the Jews Committee needed to come up with a proposal with regard to this fact. Because at least at ISC, it used to be the fact that there could only be one member from one country. And the proposal for the members from a country or region with multiple members from the Jews Committee is to say these members from that country or region will pay the total fee or the dues for that year together. And how they come to a division of who pays what part of the dues is up to the members amongst themselves within that country or region. Before they go about that, the governing board will issue certain guidelines, and at the end, if it works out that they are not able to come to an agreement, then the governing board will again be involved and final, if necessary, determine what the level of each member is within that certain country or region. But of course, it is expected that that is not necessary. An important part also is to realize that because there might be a difference in payment, which some members from those countries that have multiple members or regions that have multiple members find that it is not fair that the voting rights or the proportion of the one vote that country or region has is divided equally. So within the discussion that those members will have, it is possible for them to shift in the percentage of the one vote that the different members could have. But of course, if members agree on voting, and we're talking about Statute 15 sub 2 at the moment, where there's a special category that I think it deals with procedural matters as well as elections, where the country as a whole has one vote, and that voting right can be changed. The proportion of vote of the different members within that country can be decided by those members, but it's a small but important issue, which needs to be noted here. What is also important, if you look at the possibility that in the course of time, of course, we can get new applicants, and especially new applicants from a country where there's already a member from ISC, one or multiple members. They will need, as is now required under, I think it's 8.3 of the rules of procedure, to go to the member of that country and to ask their support in becoming a member, because it is necessary in the initial phase to also already start thinking about who pays what part of the dues that is required by that country or region. Then there was also a discussion within the Jews committee that they found it would, in a sense, if a country or region has multiple members, those members don't have more voting right, but at least they have more voice, because they will be present at different kind of meetings and also at the General Assembly. They have more chance maybe to nominate candidates for different offices. So it is proposed that to sort of set that off in a way that if certain countries or regions have more than 2 members, there should be an increase of 10% of that country or region's dues per extra member above the initial 2 members, if there are 2 members. So this is for countries that have 3 countries or regions that have 3 members or more. The Jews Committee also discussed the possibility of limiting the number of members from a certain country or region, but they decided against it because they thought it should be up to the members and organizations that might want to join. But in practice, I think you'll see that the number of members from a certain country will be limited, and I do not foresee a large number of members applying or representing a certain country, because that is, of course, what is necessary. It's not any organization that can become a member, but they need to, in some way, represent the whole country or region in the field of science or in a certain field of science. And of course, when they apply, they have to go through the process as described under Chapter 8 of the Rules of Procedure, and they need to involve the existing members. So I think I think the Jews Committee thinks that there is not a reason why they should limit the number as such. Next slide, please. Yes, so so the Category 1 and the Category 2 members of ISC are the full members. They have full voting rights. And then we also have the affiliate members, and they pay 530 euros in fees in 2021, and they will keep paying that, or the proposal is that they will keep paying the same amount in the next 3 years. Thank you. Next slide, please. Then there's a bit of a further technical issue here. If a country or a union or association changes band, that leads to could lead to a large increase or decrease of their dues. And to be able to make that more acceptable, a period of 3 years is used to bring down the dues level to the proper level, or to build it up to the higher level where they are. You can see all this because all the proposed dues are reflected in Annex 1 of the proposal. So I would like to refer you to that. And there you can see over the years what countries, category 1 or category 2 members that have changed band would need to pay over the different years, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Next slide, please. That is it. I think it makes sense to just point out once more that in this whole discussion by the Dues Committee, it became apparent that if you look at the ISC and all the issues relating to dues and voting rights and membership are things that lead to larger questions, because the system has become pretty complex as a result of the merger and a result of the historic buildup of the merged organizations. And the governing board and the Dues Committee have really said, well, this is something that needs to be addressed, but cannot be addressed by the Dues Committee now and here. So the Dues Committee decided to focus on really coming up with this proposal for the dues so that the organization can move forward with that, if accepted by the members. But the larger questions about membership and voting rights need to be addressed by the members, and of course this is something the governing board of the new governing board, which will be installed in 2021, will need to pick up and go to the members and come up with ideas to make a more simple structure. And this might then of course also have again effects on the dues and the dues structure, but so be it, then that will be part of a new package. We're now here really focusing purely on one single dues structure for ISC, which should start working from 2022 onward. And of course, as said, maybe later that can be changed because there has been a larger view of the whole issue. I think that's it. I'm of course open, and I would be interested to hear your questions or comments that you might have on this, and hopefully I can give some answers. Yes, I see Anna.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Charles. Thank you very much. My name is Anna Plater, and I'm representing the Polish Academy of Sciences. I'm the head of international relations at the Polish Academy of Sciences. First, I would like to thank you and the Dues Committee for this important work and very complex work that has to take into account all the situation and different statuses of different members. And second, I would like to raise some points. The first point is that when I look into the second category, as the Polish Academy of Sciences in the second category,
yes,
and when we analyze the bands, we see that within the bands, the situation is very, I would say, inconsistent. So within one band, we have, for example, a country with a GDP per capita over 100,000 and another country with a GDP per capita with 7,000 of US dollars. And in another band, again, we have the same situation. So we have a country with a GDP per capita over $60,000 and a country with a GDP per capita with $2,000. So I think this model should take into account also the GDP per capita factor, because this really points out to the situation that the members are facing with, and might be basically a problem for the larger but poorer countries to meet up with the expectations. So that's one point. Another point is, so my suggestion basically to this first point is to include the factor GDP per capita factor. And another point is that we are all faced
Anna?
with, yes? Yes? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Anna?
Yes?
He has a, yeah, sorry, I think I'm a bit delayed. I think we lost Charles and he's coming back. He had computer problems yesterday as well. So he's just restarting his computer, I believe, because I can't see him here right now. And I think he dropped it until he's back. But thank you, very raised yesterday, actually, by another member. So this is well noted. I think some takeaway actions for the Dues Committee after our consultations.
Okay, I'll be also happy to send you a letter explaining my suggestion for further consideration of the Dues committees. If
sure, I think that would be really helpful, Anna. There is an online form on that Dues consultation page. I'll pop it in the chat again. And there is an online form in the very bottom just with a big comment box where you could maybe again specify that comment. That would be really helpful.
Yes, then we'll surely do that.
Wonderful. That's great. And I think Charles is back now.
Yes, Anna, I'm very. Can you hear me?
Hi again. Yes.
Thank you. I'm very sorry for dropping out. I have some problems with my computer.
No problem.
I hear what you're saying. If I look back at the discussion of the Dues Committee, they have indeed considered this as well, but they found that they thought it would be the most simple and the most fair to go with the system which is purely based on percentage of global GDP. I hear what you're saying, that you could also choose a different route and looking at GDP per person. The Dues Committee, I think the Dues Committee looked at the historic fact that ICSU used to use this as well as a basis, so purely the percentage of GDP, and to not change that again, and also in the consideration that there, for both systems or any system in a way, there will also always be a certain risk that some countries or regions do not feel that they have been in a way treated fairly. So they had to choose one system and they chose for this system. I think that's the background for why they have done that.
I understand, because it's obvious that there has to be one system. However, this system, I think, is not inclusive when we think about the poorer countries. This is my suggestion, to be a little bit more inclusive when it comes to the GDP and reconsider adding the GDP per capita factor into the model. And especially, as this is linked also with my second point, we are now facing the rather difficult financial situation, probably in all of the countries. Again, I think the countries that have underfunded health services are facing even more severe situation due to the pandemic. We are working and we are funded, I mean, we as the Polish Academy of Sciences from the state budget, and we have to look for cuts. We have to look for cuts as the financial crisis is up and coming. And therefore, I would suggest not to increase the membership fees at all. And that's my second suggestion for the Dues Committee to consider due to the financial situations that we are facing as public institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I recognize very much what you're saying, and I think it makes sense. I want to just give two strings of feedback. On the one hand, purely on the fact that you're saying you're giving a suggestion, I think that is fine. We have allowed people and members to react, to give comments. I think we've given a deadline of 31st of July, so please do that. Please use that system and give this comment, because it's useful. and it will be used and it will be looked at. And of course, in the end, it's up to the members to decide what's going to happen. So if there's a large enough group of members that agree, then that will happen. And second of all, I very much agree with you that the COVID situation, but also other economic issues have led to difficulties for some members to be able to pay the dues, and the dues committee recognizes that, and therefore, and that is also was part of the proposal, but has actually already been accepted by the governing board, is that we have an ISC dues payment policy which allows members to ask for a reduction, a waiver, or a postponement of certain fees. So I would like to point you to that document, which was also part of this dues proposal, and which is already in place. So that is not something that has to wait for the approval of all the members as the other part of the dues proposal. So I would like to point your attention to that, because I think it's important, and it should allow members who have real difficulties to also consider applying under that dues payment policy.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be happy to produce a document and send it for consideration within the deadline. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ruth, I see your hand is up.
Thanks very much, Charles. And thanks for the presentation as well. It's good to hear the detail.
Yep.
We don't anticipate any major issues in the UK from the Royal Society's point of view in terms of how decisions are made on dividing the vote, etc. in the short term. And Hugo, I see, is on here. So Hugo, feel free to yell if there's anything you disagree with that I'm saying. And the Royal Society would be happy to support the 10% levy if there are more than 2 members in the short term. I can imagine there would be instances where there are countries where there may be issues more than 1 member. And it's good to note that ISC would decide what percentage of fees if the countries couldn't decide that themselves. And would ISC also be looking at the weighted voting alongside that? So they would be taken in parallel. I can imagine some countries where that could be quite a major issue. And I guess it would be helpful to have an idea of criteria that might be used. Countries that will affect would be probably keen to know that. One final thing, we did put some comments in back in February, and just wondering if it would be helpful to resubmit them in light of the fact there's likely to be a further round of reviews after the next General Assembly, and a lot of our comments, I think, would still stand for that. So we'd be happy to resubmit if that would be helpful.
Wonderful, Ruth. Thank you very much. To start off with the last point, yes, please. Resubmission would be great. And I think your comments will also, I mean, the larger questions which you've also raised, I think is something which is clearly going to be put on the agenda. But again, because it is going to be complex, it's going to be complex to make it simpler, I think. So that will require more time, but it's a good point, and we've received that feedback from more countries. So yes, please. And thank you very much also pointing out indeed about the multiple members from a country and what the decision of the GB will be if that is necessary. And yes, because the voting rights is something that is connected to it. In first instance, it's up to the members themselves. If they can do it, that'd be wonderful. If not, then we will indeed take that as a part of the decision for the GB also to do the proportion of those votes for those members that are involved. Thanks. And do you see other hands? Yes, I see Tom.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
I am the president of the IUSSP, the International Union for the Scientific Study of Population. We've glanced over the proposal, and it looks like we will be facing fairly substantive increase in dues. And I just wanted to make a few quick points. I will try and develop this better and send it in so it is of more use.
Yes.
I think the IUSSP is similar to a lot of other associations, that we are facing stagnating membership. We're doing everything to reach out. The younger generation doesn't seem to be as interested in becoming members, and that is causing already financial problems. We have had core support from foundations that seems to be no longer in fashion and is disappearing. Donors are facing tight budgets. We know some of our donors are being cut back, especially government donors. And we are probably going to be having real tight budgets in the near future. We have substantial funding for specific activities. That money cannot be reallocated to other things beyond those activities. And I think that if we do face substantial dues, we have been very interested in being a part of the International Science Council. I think we've been quite active given our size, but I do know that this will occasion a discussion at the level of our council. Do we remain a member or not? Because in very, very tight budgetary circumstances, we have to make hard decisions, and we will have to discuss this and think about it. So I would push prudence in avoiding increases in dues, if at all possible. And I don't think a reduction in dues or a postponement of dues of 1, 2, 3 years. I kind of doubt that the situation will change greatly in 1, 2, 3 years. Thank you.
Tom, thank you very much for these comments. Of course, first of all, I would really be sorry if this happens, and I would very much like to promote that you at least stay a member and be part of the discussion that is here as you are doing now, and in the trajectory to the end of July, where there's opportunity to come back with feedback. And also at the General Assembly in October, of course, because it's finally it's up to the members to decide who pays what and how. So please, I would really like to promote that you stay on as a member to enter the discussion rather than be subject to it or step back. But I see your point. I think when I look at what the Jews Committee discussed, I think they needed to find a way to really see, okay, these members have enough income on their own to be able to pay these dues. So they really looked at what was possible, and I think this is the outcome. But again, if we get a lot of feedback that is in line with what you're saying, then they'll need to go back to the drawing board and see what they can come up with. So thank you for these comments. Other questions? Anne, I don't know if you see other in the chat or other people who would like to comment.
Nothing in the chat as far as I can see.
Okay.
And I don't see any other hands at this moment. But I mean, yeah, this was just really, we wanted to give members a live possibility to just ask questions and provide any comments. But of course, if you need more time to read into the proposal, please take your time. There's still 5 weeks left to propose comments. And should you have any other questions after going back deeper into the document, obviously don't hesitate to reach out. You know where to find us, and we're happy to provide more information. It's a complex, very technical issue, but something that's a business that we need to get through for the General Assembly, and obviously a very important issue. So don't hesitate to reach out should you have additional questions, and we're really looking forward to your comments.
Yes, thank you very much, Anne. I could have said exactly the same. I think it's important that people realize that the channels are open to react, either on paper, but you can also react to us individually or at HQ in Paris with any comments or questions you might have. It's indeed a complex matter, and I'm sorry for that. And I hope we've been able to make it a bit clearer. But I could understand that maybe that's not the case yet, especially because it's a longer document. So please feel free to come back to us at a later stage with questions or comments or suggestions, because those are very much valued and appreciated.
So Charles, we do have a hand raised by Marv from the Crystallographer Union.
Hello,
Yes,
Marv, go ahead.
Charles, thank you for this presentation. I thought it was very clear, and I appreciate all the work the committee went through this very complex problem. Mine is more of a informational question. So in the category 1, it's based on income of the unions, right?
Yes.
And my question is, where do you get that data from, and what is the lag between the report of the income and the setting of the due structure? So is it based on, the prior year's income going forward? What's the timing there?
So if you look at, it's also in Annex 1 for your later to view, but it boils down to the fact that we have the income of the Category 1 members from their own members for the years 2018, 2019, and 2020. And the ones that don't have 2020 yet, we use also 2017, and the average of that is taken, and that determines in which band the union or association from Category 1 as a Category 1 member is placed.
So it's sort of like a rolling 3-year average.
Yeah. So because this always happens, or because this happens at the General Assembly, which is in October 2021, we take the years before that to determine where the Category 1 member is in which band, and then we take the 3 years before that. So that's 18, 19, 20 for this time, and of course in 2024 it will again take the last 3 years then.
Okay. Thank you. I think that might have been in the longer document, but I had forgotten the
No.
details.
It's not always clear. But it's good that you ask, because it's good to know on what basis we place the different members in the different bands. So thank you for that. All right. If there are no more questions, I would like to thank you all very much. And I would like to thank Anne, especially, and all our translators. I hope that was helpful. And again, once more, please take your time to look at the full document and to come back with comments to us before the 31st of July. Because that's what we need. We need this member interaction. We need to know what you think of it. Thank you.
Charles, I just popped the link in the chat again for the next consultation in preparations for the General Assembly. So we're talking about the membership dues, but of course we also have a revised draft action plan that the governing board is busy finalizing, and we'll probably share the draft with all members towards the end of this month, so maybe the week after next, potentially. And we're hoping that you'll be able to participate and available and interested to join our online consultation. It'll be a similar setting as of today, but at the end of July, so 28th and 29th of July, there's 2 time slots, morning and afternoon European time, to serve the different time zones. And it's really an opportunity, to shape together the priority agenda for the next 3 years, for the next term. And I very much hope that you'll be interested and available to participate and provide your comments on the priority agenda of the ISC for the next 3 years. So that's coming up at the end of July. Charles, I have a question from Yle from Estonia, but I think, Yle, do you want to talk about this now in the meeting, or shall we catch up via email asking about the Estonian dues. I think that will be, Ulla, I think that will be a question for Charles. I'll forward it to him.
Well, we can come back to that individually to let you know what that is or should be.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Ulla, I'll just copy your message here and I'll come back to you via email. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, if you have no more questions, then I think we'll close the meeting a bit early, but thank you very much for joining and for your initial comments. And yeah, the online form remains open until 31st of July. Then the dues committee will take all of the comments into account, and they'll prepare a final version to be presented to all members at the General Assembly for approval. Right, Charles? Is that the
Yes,
our
absolutely.
process?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to see you all. Thanks for joining, and hopefully see you at the next consultation on the action plan at the end of July. And until then, stay safe and stay healthy, and all the best to you and your colleagues and your families.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, and
Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks for joining.